Hi everybody, I'm Nate Eaton here in the East Idaho News studios, and joining me today we have Candice Cooley. Many of you know who she is. She's the mother of Dylan Rounds, who a beautiful memorial service was held over the weekend in Rigby. And then we have Rhonda, who is also known by Jazz. She's the founder of the Missing in America Network, who really played a big role in this case. And so thank you both for coming in today. I want to start by talking about how you both met, how you all got connected.
Yeah, so when Dylan's case first started, it's kind of one of those things, and part of our awareness is we didn't know what to do. We didn't know who to trust. We were completely lost, and I had hundreds of people reaching out to me every day that they could fix everything, they could find Dylan, and I got a message from Jazz, and there was just something about the way she presented herself, her organization, that I trusted. And then she came in and started helping us, and that's how we built the connection and the relationship and with the two organizations, because we didn't know what to do, Nate. I mean, we were lost. And Missing in America Network came in. They took control over the Facebook. They got the crazies off. People had to request to join. I mean, it was such a burden lifted that we didn't have to worry about that, and we could pull all the craziness and the trolls out through Missing in America Network, and we didn't have to do anything.
So Jazz, how did you start, where did you get the idea to start Missing in America?
It just happened. I was doing graphic design, and I got a lot of requests to do flyers for missing people. And through doing that, I just started talking to families and just realized there was a need, and just one thing led to another. And just saw the need, and so.
And when was that? When did you start?
So it would have been, it's been 4 years, so September, about 4 years ago, is really when I said I'm gonna create Missing in America. And then I think a few months later I added the network in just to make sure that it wasn't confused with any other Missing in Americas that were around. So yeah.
Right. So when you saw the case, was it you originally saw news coverage of Dylan's missing, or? No,
what happened was somebody that knew about me sent me a message and said this young man is missing in Utah, and they need help. His family needs help. And so I sent her a message and I said, hey, if you need help, this is what I can do for you. And we just started talking.
And what type of services do you do? I mean, Candice mentioned, you don't know where to turn. There's so many people saying, I'll help you. Private investigators, I'm sure, from all ends. What does Missing in America do?
Well, the biggest thing we do is awareness. And we go in and we'll do Facebook groups. We do all the social media. We have an account on all social medias, and we get the word out. The first thing that the public needs to know is somebody's missing before they can even know that they might have witnessed something that happened or have some information that's important. So getting the awareness out there is the biggest thing that we do. We offer billboards. We offer flyer events locally where you go in and you flyer a lot of places to help find missing kids or missing adults, and just pretty much awareness. And then joining up with Candice now, together we're able to offer a lot more resources with canines and with drones and things like that. So it's kind of like a full package deal.
And Candice, you have really taken it, your son's disappearance and tragic murder, and now that the case has been resolved, you've really taken things up for the Dylan's legacy.
Yeah. And the importance of that, Nate, is there are unfortunately a lot of organizations who come in and they take advantage of families and they re-victimize them, in my opinion. We've done so much canine awareness, and we're going to do more with you and with we've got some bloodhound teams here, and we've got Tori, of course, Canine TF, but these people call into these families, and I'll give you an example with no names. I'm working on a case in the Midwest, and the family says, well, 30 days later, the bloodhound tracked this guy 4 miles in this direction, so he went this way. That is 100% impossible, and any canine handler who tells you different is lying. A bloodhound, you got 12 to 24 hours. They're not going to come in and track 30 days later. And so are these people. We got this drone software it's going to see through houses, and it's going to see everything in the ground. So you have these organizations coming at these families, and they're giving them this hope, and they're re-victimizing the families, and they're offering services that it's not going to happen. We're going up on Michael Bryson's case and Shane Springer in October, and we're taking up some canines. And we know that, there'll be forensic canines. That detection is it's minimal. We're realistic about that, but there was some stuff found, and there's enough that we just want to go rerun it for the family and see if we can find anything, but we still have a realistic view of what the percentage is. And so that throughout Dylan's case, and so many people tried to do it to us, and some people did. I see that, and my heart just goes out to these families because they're in their most desperate time. Your son's missing, your daughter's missing, whoever, and you have somebody coming at you saying, my dog can do this. And no, your dog cannot do that. Do you know what that does to the family? And so we've really taken a step of building a network of teams, having people available and readily available for families, but we're also realistic in what can be accomplished, because that doesn't do no good to go lie to the family and just re-victimize them even more.
So ideally, is this type of a thing that if, my daughter goes missing or a loved one goes missing, they can turn to you and say, what do we do?
Yeah. And that's the thing. And I'm working with some publishers and stuff like what do you do when your loved one, the do's and the don'ts. And there was a case that Jazz and I worked on together, and we both become friends with the moms, but her son goes missing. So this is more on the Missing in America network, even though we, work hand in hand. But so we started a huge awareness push. I mean, we flood it. That was in November. We started. By the end of January, her son was found alive and safe. Multiple states over, but he was there, and it was because somebody seen him through the awareness. And so just because your child's missing doesn't mean they're gone. I mean, we've seen these cases multiple times where it's months and somebody's found. So you need to have the resources to utilize, and awareness is number one. Awareness is the very first step, and safe awareness to keep the trolls out. And you want to explain to them how you monitor everything?
In the Facebook groups?
Yeah.
It's just pretty simple. You just, if it isn't a helpful comment, if it isn't something that's going to be supportive of the family, then it's just not allowed in the group. Like, there's no place for somebody coming in and criticizing. There's no place for unrealistic speculation. The groups that I am involved in are support groups for the family, because it's the family that's going through the crisis. A lot of groups out there, the more true crime-ish groups, they're more about coming up with theories and talking about all the drama of it. That's not what we do in our groups. Our groups are to help the family, and how can we help? What can we do to get more awareness out there? Is there anybody located in the area that can go hang up flyers? Is there anybody that can call hospitals looking for this person? And we just try to get the community together and make the community aware that there's help needed. A family needs help.
How many people do you know have you featured on your platforms?
Oh, you know what? I should really count that. I haven't done it lately, but I think over the course, it's gotten a lot busier than last year, 2 years. But I think maybe somewhere between 300 and 400.
Wow.
But this year alone, it's probably 150 families that we've worked with.
Oh my
just
gosh.
Just awareness. And I'll never say we found anybody, but we do help, because we get the awareness out there. And I cannot even tell you the percentage, how high it is of times. Oh, I saw this flyer and I saw him at the store the other day. All the time it happens that these flyers get out there and they help. And police do it a little bit. They will, some police departments will put out a flyer on their social media, some won't. But it's the biggest thing that's going to help solve a missing person.
So you said, you won't take credit that, we found this person.
Right.
But do you have a rough idea of how many cases you featured that have eventually been closed? Like in Dylan's, tragic, that one ended, or where they're found alive?
I could get you that number. Because I do have the data, but I didn't look it up.
Since we've joined, and I help with Missing in America Network too, just this year alone has been 2.
It's higher than that.
Yeah, but those are just the ones that
You've been involved in.
Yeah, and that's just what, and I do more, even though we share everything and I work with the network, but those are just the ones I was directly involved in, and she does, and there's other people in the organization that do tons. So
yeah.
Are there certain qualifications that have to be met for you to feature them? Like, do you do a runaway, a teenager that might have run away and then they're found 12 hours
Right.
later? What are
The main
things?
one is they have to have an active police report. So I have to be able to verify that it is actually a missing person.
Right.
And I have to have a picture of them. You can't really help too much if you don't have a picture. And I have to have family involvement. That's it. The family I have to be directly involved with the family, and there has to be a police report, and then we'll put something together and we'll go looking.
Right. I'm glad you said that. A lot of people will call us here at East Idaho News and say, I can't find my teenager, or my aunt went for a drive and is missing. And we have the same qualification. You have to have a police report. If you file a police report, once you file a police report, and then if we have a photo of the person so that people can be on the lookout. And fortunately, most of the cases don't end up like Dylan's.
Right.
Fortunately, they're found quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then there are those few that aren't. Dylan, or Candice, have you learned anything more about Dylan's case since we last spoke?
No, we're still waiting on the death certificate to be corrected. I'm actually in the process of getting his phone data released. So we're going to be holding some trainings with Aaron, the one panelist I was with at CrimeCon, detective, to do some of the training here. I haven't been able to see the police report, so I really have nothing else. We don't know. So
did the dogs assist, or the drones assist at all in your searches out there in the rural desert?
yeah, oh yeah, we had drones, we had canines, and you know where Dylan was located was just this blip of a 200 square yard area that wasn't on our maps, that somehow that area is the only area that we did not have everything over. It was so crazy. I think Dylan did that because he's like, just learn some more stuff, Mom, then I'll go ahead and make my appearance. But it would, and that's the other thing that's so important on these organized searches is, you know, Dylan, we had an idea where to look, right? We had his last known location, we had his RTT data, we had evidence. A lot of these cases, you don't know where to look, and that's a lot of stuff that some of these organizations will do also, is they'll just come in on a blind search and say, you know, we can come in and find this person. It is so hard to find a person. You know, people think bring in helicopters, you can see everything. You know, I was in the air flying over everything, Dylan's farm and everything, and it's not easier. So just to know, you know, that elbow to elbow search, that, you know, knowing those steps that should be taken that ensure a proper search. And you got to remember, all these searches, they were organized by us. We didn't have help. So this is something we've learned. We didn't have law enforcement or search and rescue guiding us. We're going off on wild goose chases in the wash because his pickup tracks are in there. We're going right when everything was right in front of us. And 90% of the time in cases like Dylan's, that's exactly how it is. It is right in front of you. And that is one thing that helps with Missing in America Network, is all of that craziness. And you know how much we had in Dylan's case, and the trolls and the theories. And I mean, I can't say the countless hours I spent on the phone with Jazz, like talking through stuff. And she'd be like, really think about this, Candice. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that is a little crazy, right? So they keep all of that out. On our family support groups and our awareness, and where everything's shared, we don't let any of that in. You're not getting people, we'll see comments that people might put up that'll say, well, I think, you know, we've got a big push for Bailey Blunt right now out of Humboldt, California. I think this, and it's this crazy theory, and we just go in and decline it, delete it out, and if the member keeps doing it, then we take them completely off the page, and they're not allowed to even post anything. So that's really important, because that did lead us running in circles on Dylan's case. And had I known about this organization in the beginning, none of that stuff would have happened.
Right.
That's not going to say we were to have found Dylan earlier, but we would not have been wasting our time and running down these rabbit holes.
Right. Jazz, I would imagine, do you get as close with all the cases as you are with Candice?
We do get close with the people that we work with, because we're going through a crisis with them, and they depend on somebody to help them through it. And so we do get close. Not as close as Candice and I have, because a lot of families, they find their person and then they just go on with life. And so they'll share posters. They might once in a while send me a message. But this went on for a long time, and we spent a lot of time together. And then the incredible opportunity that she saw to help other people from what happened to her has just led to a really great union between Dylan's legacy and Missing in America. So that's how come we became so close.
Yeah.
Well, and I deal with a lot of the moms. And we work with other people across the country. Can you talk to this mom? Can you reach out? Can you have this, like just at their absolute wit's end? And I tell them, I'm like, you feel crazy. I know you feel crazy. You can't remember what you had for breakfast, but you can remember the day your kid was born. And that is a real emotional support. People say, do you go to counseling? No, I have other mom friends who have been through it. And so that is such a helpful to people who are going through it, especially some of these cases that we're still looking for the people. We know something bad happened, just like we did in Dylan's case, but we're still trying to find them and bring them home. You do feel crazy and you feel, it's unexplainable. This last 2 years is such a blur. I remember every minute of it, but in a blurry sense, right? And so that is helpful that we can do that. There's moms that I've sat on the phone for 3 hours with, and I'm able to do that and reassure, okay, you're not crazy, but we need to pull the craziness out of this case and get you back on an evil level, and let's walk through this and rethink that. And a lot of times it ends up to, okay, now this is the new plan. Let's, take all that out. Let's back up and slow down. And now we're going to move forward doing this. And then Jazz and I will work on a flyer if we got to get teams out to them or whatever. Right. So.
Well, you were finally able to lay your son to rest over the weekend, and there were some humorous moments during the memorial.
Oh, Hank.
One in particular.
Hank.
Sadly, our camera didn't catch it. It was off camera, but you want to talk about what happened with the dog?
So Dylan's dog, Hank, of course, I'm sitting in the front row, and I first seen him under Dylan's semi, and he's got his paw up and his ears are up, and I'm like, oh, no. I'm like, Hank sees something. So I'm hoping like it's a cat or a squirrel. Well, then we hear the chickens start. And then he stopped for 20 seconds? And then he goes running behind the flatbed where my Uncle Dave was talking so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, I am going to have to jump up in the middle of my son's service and go running in front of everybody and save this chicken before Hank brings it back to me dead. And when I got up and ran over to get Hank, he had that chicken. And feathers were everywhere, and he dropped the chicken just in time, and I'm like, oh my goodness. I just thought to myself, I'm like, thanks, Dylan, we needed that moment.
It was a humorous moment. I'll always remember those feathers flying up in the air from the very back. So did the chicken make it?
The chicken made it.
Oh, okay,
Yep, the chicken made it, yeah.
No chickens were harmed.
No chickens were harmed. We were good.
Well, Dylan was getting a good laugh somewhere.
I know, right? Yeah. Well, and we had such a beautiful day. We couldn't have had better weather. It was definitely time for that.
Really good turnout, a lot of people. And there was a beautiful slideshow of photographs through the years and some memories. If you missed it, you can go watch it back on our YouTube channel. We have it there. Let's talk about the sweatshirts because they're really cool and people are going to be asking about those. Are those something you came up for Dylan? Or what?
It was. So I wasn't sure how the weather was going to be, so I told Jazz, I'm like, we should go online and get tractor sweatshirts for Dylan because we're probably going to need sweatshirts there. So the four of us have them. And so then we're today we'll wear sweatshirts.
Yeah. But it was too hot to wear them.
It was
I know it was.
Yeah,
So, they look nice. So they're not for sale or anything because I know people will want.
Yeah,
oh, okay.
We should design something though.
Yeah,
that would
we
be
should
good.
design.
Dylan would probably like that.
Yeah. So that was the whole. And then I'm like, they're gonna get up here from Phoenix and be freezing, and we're all like.
Right,
too many clothes. Like I said, we could not have asked for a better day.
Yeah, I got home and had a sunburn. So
everybody did. My daughter, everybody had a sunburn.
Yeah. Jazz, what do you want people to know about Missing in America Network and how can they support?
Yeah, I just want people to know that we're here because you never think somebody's going to go missing. And so you never pay attention to what happens when somebody goes missing. I just want people to know there's organizations that are out there that can help you in those times. They can help navigate everything that you have to go through. We work with police. We work with private investigators that are, what word do I want to use?
Reputable.
Reputable is a good one.
Yes.
We try to help them through everything, and we help them with the awareness, which is just huge to people. And we have people like Candice that are willing to talk to them and who have the experience. And just knowing that we're here is the biggest thing that I want people to know.
And Dylan's legacy is going to continue.
Yes, and we'll do, like I said, we'll be working more on canine awareness, which is one thing I wanted to talk to you about because we will eventually follow up with Tori, is the importance, if they're getting their hips replaced, if they're getting shoulders replaced, to ask the hospitals for those bones without formaldehyde and come to Dylan's Legacy, and we'll distribute them through different canine teams. We actually donated part of Dylan's remains after we got him back to the canine team to train on, and Dylan has been out and back to work already. I'll have to send you one of the pictures where the dogs were out working, so he's back out to work. It's people think it's morbid, but in a realistic view, when you need canines to go find your loved ones, these canines need something to train on.
Yep.
They're not training on pigs, or they can't train on your clothes. They can't train, you can't use teeth or hair. They need human remains to train on. And there are ways to donate and forms that we can help people if they're having a procedure, if they have a loved one that, Tori was donated an arm off of a lady that wanted to donate part of her daughter to science. It is absolutely, it is just so valuable, and it's better than any money donation. Anything you could ever give a canine team is something to train on. And people, and we will be doing more awareness on that, but people don't realize it because, once again, this is not something we talk about.
Right.
This is something that a lot of people like me know, but once they get through the tragedy, they don't want to relive it. So it's just, we don't talk about it. Well, we're going to talk about it because everybody deserves to be found. And so the proper training, the proper organizations, resources need to be put into place for these families to go to. And unfortunately, that means we need human bone to train on.
Yeah, never would have thought about it.
Yeah.
Never would have thought about it.
So, and like I said, we'll do more on that and do some demonstrations with the
Yeah.
dogs and stuff. And but I think it's amazing where they took Dylan up to train. Beautiful. He would have loved it, and he's working. He's doing exactly what he loved to do. So that's not morbid.
Right.
So, but like I said, people, it's the unspeakable. We don't talk about stuff like this.
Right. Well, you're talking about it. We
Yes.
appreciate it, and we appreciate what you're doing, Jazz, too. You can find out more Missing in America Network on social media. And do you have a website, too?
Yep, MissingAmericanNetwork.org.
Okay, great. And then Dylan's Legacy, too. We'll also link to that. And look forward to following up with both of you ladies.
Perfect.
Thank you very
Thanks,
much.
Nate.